The Tallows have extended the losing streak of the Barbados Tridents, crushing the dreams of all the Bajan fans. Welcome to another episode of the Yellow CPL Rewind, and let's get straight into the action. Damian, give me a quick recap of what went down last night.
The Tridents, for me, they didn't get enough runs. I think a score of 170 plus would be a par score. We only saw that Guptill was the only significant contributor to the total. He got 73. And the only other contributions came from Imran Khan and Nurse at the end, both getting 20 runs each. But we also saw a good bowling performance from O'Shane Thomas, who for me is very consistent in the tournament so far. And the 151 wasn't enough because with a Tallows batting lineup with so much depth, it would be a breeze. And as you saw, Johnson Charles, he got off to a superb start, getting 53. And he was supported by Ravman Powell, who got 35, and then Colin De Granholm, who came in for the Imad Wazim. He also played a little cameo at the end, getting 15 off 8 delivers.
Some persons said that the dew factor played a significant role in last night's game. Karen, what's your thoughts?
The dew factor did play a big role. You saw that, the ball was obviously wet. And naturally, when the ball gets wet, it gets fatter, it gets more lopsided, and it's harder to really get what you want out of the ball. Your grip is lost as well. And we definitely saw that, they would have chosen to, both sides would have chosen to go more towards the fast bowler side as opposed to the spinners. We didn't see Zampo coming out much in a big way for the Jamaica Tallows, and he's usually a dominant factor. So, it's very clear that that was something that would have definitely affected the sides last night.
All right, and we've been talking about in terms of teams that are making constant changes and how that's affecting the game versus those who have remained a bit steady with their team members and are performing well. I want to make the conversation there, Chris. What's your thoughts on that?
Interesting question, Joel. We saw last night Martin Guptill, he came back and he made runs. It showed that you need to have firm decision-making skills in T20 cricket. You need to back your players. You need to back the players, especially the big players, the big-name players. You need to back them. So I think sometimes it's early in the tournament. It's good to make these changes. For example, I use Barbados as an example. They have 4 matches left. I think they have made a lot of changes so far. So I think with those 4 matches to come, I would have no want to see a settled 11. So it's 11 that will bring some reward. We'll see, for example, Trinidad, they look a settled team. They're performing pretty well at the moment now because they're more settled. So I think once you're more settled with your decision making,
a bit better. But who are the persons making the decisions?
The coaches definitely have it comes down to between the coach and the captain. But the coach definitely has a heavier hand in the decisions. I don't necessarily agree with Chris in terms of backing your big name players till death do us part. I do think that you really need to, look at them and see, especially in the early side of the tournament. If you feel they're not performing, take them out. Look at a Ross Taylor, look at a Amla. Those are big name players. Look at a Chadwick. They're not performing for their various sides.
So you're saying that in the early stages of the tournament, if they are not, for example, I'm happy that you mentioned in terms of, we'll have to consider duration of the tournament for one, how many matches are there.
Right.
So if somebody doesn't perform in the second match per se, should they be dropped?
I'd want to say second match, but if you're finding the third and the fourth matches that they're not performing, well, I do think that they should be dropped. Whether or not they're contributing greatly in the dressing room towards or on the pitch to the entire game in and of itself, that's a different thing. But with batting and bowling, cricket is a batting and bowling game.
Yeah. And
so if you're not contributing how you're supposed to be contributing in the third and fourth game, I think that there needs to be a shift away from you.
My point to this is that it all depends on where you're at in the table as well, because if you're higher up in the table, you can give the player a little more games to try, but to try and get themselves in. So you give them more batting time, more time at the crease, etc. If it's a bowler as well, you try and give him more games for him to develop or build his confidence.
But in terms of we touched a little on the bowlers versus the batsmen, and who definitely are the ones who are pulling the weight, doing all of that. I want you to mention to me some of those persons who are not necessarily coming to the party. You mentioned Guptill a while ago. But
yes,
others
he came last night.
He came last night.
Yeah,
He
but who weren't
to
coming initially, but got a proper serving, and then decided to come back strong. Who are some of the other players who you you've seen
Who are not coming.
not coming, who might need a drop right now, and who you think from that drop will probably perform?
Chadwick, straight up for me. Chadwick, yeah.
For me, it's Hashim Amla. Yeah, more is expected from him.
Yeah, Kenara Lewis is ding dong. And I think Darren Sammy.
Yeah, Lewis struggled last
Lewis
night.
struggling. Darren Sammy has had a very quiet tournament, very quiet one. So I think him. Evan
But
Lewis.
it's a tough one with Sammy, you know, because you can't drop the man that the game, that the crowd
still-
name
No,
after.
I think they left St. Lucia Stars.
Oh, so you feel like right now he can get a drop?
Yeah, he can get dropped. So the marketing aspect of that and the whole patriotism of that can be finished with.
As I mentioned, patriotism and the Stars. We have a big match coming up. That's between the Patriots and the St. Lucia Stars. Both teams are coming off a loss, and it's going to be very critical for them to pull their weight and come to the party this time around. I want some predictions. Karen?
Patriots for me. I do think that the Patriots lineup has been good. Their bowling has been very well done. I think that Gail, he made a joke in the last game. He said, "Boy, I'm due for 100 now." So
Very much
he really, I think he's going to be looking to step up his batting. You know, he was crampy as his nickname is. You know, kind of, you know, in the crease, kind of just hitting the big ones and pretty much staying still, standard Gill style. But I do think that, you know, coming into the real depth of the tournament right now, he's gonna take a big step forward. And he has been guiding his team very, very well. So I do think that Patriots are going to take it home. But the Pollard factor. The Pollard factor for the Stars can really make or break this game.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah. I'm going with the Stars, with the Patriots. Patriots.
You
You
sure?
sure?
You sure? That's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
the Patriots. To add to what Karen said, the Patriots, they looked a very all-round team, batting and bowling. They have good all-round players who can bat and bowl. They have T20 players. That's the most important thing about Patriots. And they're going up against Stars who at the moment who doesn't have a lot to play for at the moment. So Patriots, and of course the leadership of Chris has been brilliant.
Your namesake. All right. Damian.
For me, you know, a big Yale fan, so it's definitely the Patriots for me. You see a more rounded St. Kitts team, as Chris and Karen had mentioned. You have Chris at the top of the order, you have Evan Lewis that can deliver even though he's not on a good run of form. We saw Brandon King step up the last game. And the Stars, they're pretty much labouring at the foot of the table, so I'll give the Patriots.
Carlos Braffett really, I mean, he has been performing for the Patriots. I think he's Gill's, you know,
Go-to.
Yes,
Go-to. He's
for
a go-to
sure.
person. He's a utility person for the Patriots. He's coming in. I think he still can do more. I think he should come in a bit earlier. It's a small ground at Warner Park.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean, the power players, as we've been talking about in this tournament, they have a lot to show.
You can imagine Pollard hitting some sixes.
It's a very small ground, and he hits straight, and the straight boundaries are very small. So
If Pollard get way, it's gonna be rough for the Patriots. That's the truth.
Well, guess what? It's your opportunity to comment because we've gotten the feedback from our panelists and we're
Crunch time.
Yes, man, it's crunch time. It's up to you. You can participate in our discussion by sending in a video of no more than 30 seconds to find Yellow Treasure at yellowmg.com with your recap. Of course, we have 2 competitions taking place on your local Yellow social media pages. That's the Yellow Cricket Crew and the Find Yellow Treasure contest. Remember, you have to download the mobile app from your Google Play Store or App Store to participate. Tickets are going fast, and it's an opportunity for you to sit back in the stands to witness what? Greatness.
Greatness.
The
Biggest party in
the
sports.
biggest party in sport. I don't want to miss out on that. This is the Yellow CPL Rewind. Catch you tomorrow.
We're the players, no more.